Hi guys, today we're going to be reviewing the JET 12-inch planer. This is actually the second time recording this video. The first attempt was just a lot of planing and it went for 20 minutes and there wasn't much detail with the unit. This time round, we're going to give a really detailed view of this planer. Straight out of the box, you receive a 100mm dust port, a 40mm dust port, a replacement set of blades, and a tool to align the new blades when you replace them. The motor is supported by four 20mm steel rods, and the height adjustment is supported by two 18mm threaded rods. The dust port is located at the rear of the unit, which poses an issue with timber knocking out the hose. I'll cover this a little bit later in the video. And lastly, a simple on-off switch with emergency stop like you would see on most tools. As for the testing stock, we're going to be using 89mm pine boards, 150mm hardwood decking wood, 140mm messmate, and two pieces of 140mm messmate glued together. And yes, in Australia, we actually have a species of timber with the word mate in it. Okay, so for the testing, we're going to keep this pretty brief. I'm sure you get the idea of how a planer works. We're starting with the 89mm pine. This went through really easy. I was really happy with the results. I was doing a half turn with the height adjustment per run. Next up, we have the exotic hardwood decking wood. With this test, it felt like the rollers weren't catching on as well as they should have, and you can see me force it through with my fingers sometimes. After this video, I planed up quite a lot of this for a future project and it seemed to work fine, but for some reason, some of the runs, the rollers weren't catching onto the timber. Next up, we have the super chunky reclaimed messmate. This stuff has a very low moisture content and it's been reclaimed from an old warehouse, I believe. Again, towards the end, the timber does tend to catch, and I wasn't sure why I was doing it in this video. It actually makes the planer look pretty bad, but again, after this video, it was working just fine. For this last test, I'm using the two pieces of hardwood glued together. This is pretty much testing the full width of this planer. It does tend to catch a little bit there, and you can see why I don't like that dust hose. I'm making a separate video regarding the dust collection and a little mock-up I did including a cyclone that I made. So that'll be up shortly. So the results are in and I'm really happy with the job the planer did. You will see two small scratch lines through this timber. That will be addressed in the next video regarding dust collection and a cyclone. The hardwood decking wood planed up quite nicely. It left a really good surface considering this is a straight blade planer. It is not a spiral blade, so I'm really happy with that. We have the chunky messmate. I'm actually most pleased with the job it did on this timber out of all of them. It worked really well, left a really nice clean surface ready for 320 grit sanding and ready for finish. Okay, so with the testing complete, I'm going to go over a few pros and cons, things I like, things I don't like with this planer. First of all, it's affordable. This JET planer comes in at $489. You've got the Ryobi one, which is about the equivalent to this machine, comes at $550. And you've also got a DeWalt one, which is a straight back blade, but it's much more expensive as well. This is really easy to use. The instruction manual was really clear. First time using a planer myself, so it seemed to go really well. So I'm really impressed with that. It suits a shop vac. If you're like me and you've only got a $100 shop vac, not a big dust extraction system, suits that perfectly. And the blades, you do get a replacement set of blades and they are straight blades. So they're really easy to get sharpened and they're very cheap. The cons. Dust collection port. I'm really not happy with the position of it. Most planers have it at the rear, which means when you push stock through the planer, it tends to catch on. So I'm going to make a video with a cyclone that I'm going to make and a little connection hose so it doesn't get in the way. And the adjustment dial, which I'll show you now. For some reason, it's not 1 full turn equals 1 millimeter or the imperial equivalent. It's very weird the way you dial it in. You sort of have to get the feel for it. I'm doing quarter turns, which seems to cut the right amount without it breaking, for example. But that's the main thing I wasn't really happy with. I thought I could do 1 full turn and that's 1 millimeter depth, but it's not. Overall, really good planer. I hope you enjoyed the video. Up next, which I'm actually gluing up right now, is a little monitorizer for a friend. Then I'm going to make some cyclones out of a bucket, just a 20-liter drum bucket. And it's really cheap. It comes at about $6 for a cyclone for the shop vac. So thanks very much for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video.